Thank you for viewing our previously recorded webinar, What are Managed Services and How the Right Provider Can Help. The following presentation took place August 17, 2016. We hope you enjoy. As a brief definition to start, managed services providers, or MSPs for short, monitor the network, equipment, and security of a customer's facilities to ensure that downtime is essentially eliminated. MSPs also offer maintenance and management when needed, which sometimes can include physical repair services based on the capabilities of the provider. Now, while most providers function as a remote extension to enterprise partners, there are some, such as ScanOnline ourselves, that still offer on-site services for intensive care. The goal, though, however, all in all of all MSPs is to keep workers performing at their optimal levels. What this graphic represents are the main operational benefits to starting a managed services contract. Though there are more specific reasons as well based on the client site, I wanted to highlight the aggregate of some of the benefits most clients that partner with us have seen. So since you see here, there are about 8 different categories and mainly 8 different reasons for why there could be some differences between each client that might want to contract managed services. I'd like to take a deeper dive into some of these so let you quantify for yourself how you may benefit with an MSP yourself. Point number 1, you minimize and/or eliminate downtimes. This will be said a few different ways throughout my portion of the presentation, and as you'll see in a moment here, I actually have another slide to elevate this point. But in summary, MSPs will cut your risk dramatically. As an example, the average loss across all businesses internationally for network downtime is $100,000 annually. Now, I mean, it's pretty easy to see, and it's in red, but that's a pretty big number, right? There are scenarios and variables such as company size for this number being higher or lower, but some of the factors below will still come into play. Downtime can even cost you more than sales and data in several situations. This can include your overall reputation, which sometimes is completely unrecoverable, as I'm sure you could imagine. Point number 2, hiring resources versus managed services. You likely have experienced either firsthand or for others the challenges of acquiring IT talent in any field or in any role. From development and engineering to customer support and repairs, recruiting IT staffers is both difficult and time-consuming. Now, is there a solution? Well, the easy one is that managed services can fill personnel gaps immediately, and it still, in most cases, will be more cost-effective than hiring more staff on board. Point number 3, Watchdog Security. Today, we all know that there are definitely many different types of breaches and vulnerabilities that can affect enterprises daily. We see it on the news, you read it in the papers, and you even see it in places like LinkedIn because it's actually information that's shared widely between different workforces. You can buy security and hardware to try to stop this, but with an MSP, you're going to get much, much more than security. You're going to get someone that's actually dedicated to that security and someone that keeps up with the latest trends, something you may not be able to do as well. This is a huge advantage. Just think of the thousands you're going to end up saving versus the cost of being attacked. And then you got to weigh it in and think, is it worth it? Point number 4, proactive maintenance and management. This is another reason why people use managed services providers. As we all know, technology updates and other maintenance needs are cyclical. But, I'm sure as you can imagine, probably by fitting in this webinar, can you fit it in with a busy enough schedule as it is? With an MSP, this is something you don't have to worry about, and this is something we can handle so that you don't have to. Point number 5 for using a managed services provider, your tech is optimized. Commonly, most mobile devices and wireless network hardware need configuration out of the box to perform or exceed at the levels that you expect. MSPs keep your tech reliable and optimized to peak performance levels for a better ROI on your investments. So basically, once you get a device or a piece of hardware, you can't, in most cases, you would like to think that it's a plug-and-play situation. But when you read the specs and all the requirements to actually get those, sometimes it's going to leave a little bit more tinkering and some more configurations on your end or with an MSP. Point number 6, intensive care on demand. Basically, what this statement really reflects is that you need to consider your MSP more or less a help desk around the needs you're contracted for. Many MSPs already encourage the client to use the term to describe their services. Now, whether you're on-site or remote, it really doesn't matter because as long as you have an MSP contract that actually has, your coverage of services based on your agreement, the way that you like it and the way that it's agreed upon, you're going to get those services on demand when you need it. Point number 7, turn the resources tide. Simply put, with an MSP, the client's resources can stay focused on those revenue-generating tasks they encounter every day. Another added benefit that may easily be overlooked initially, and I think Brian will get into this, is the MSP-client relationship itself. As time passes, the enterprise IT teams will gain the experience from the MSPs that they need, which is going to bring more value to that client staff. So, you need to consider an MSP more of a partnership and a collaboration, and it really isn't a one-way street like some might make you believe. And lastly, point number 8, a familiarity in tech and processes is a reason to use an MSP. MSPs initially will do a thorough analysis of your process, people, and tech. They then run these findings against their education, experience in the field, experience in multiple industries, and against their many years in multiple IT services and support roles. Because of this, your needs are going to be met and fulfilled a lot quicker than the average internal IT team with multiple responsibilities. This is something that's very key that, again, often gets left off the table during discussions. Now, while I won't go into this slide right here gives some light background of the branches of our managed services capabilities at ScanOnline. Our Lifecycle Mobile and WLAN managed services are both monitoring and base tiers, and our Stage Mobile and WLAN product services are installation and configuration tiers. I will, however, turn over the webinar to our Vice President of Sales, Brian Graves, at this point, so that he can actually go over this in a little bit more detail than I might be able to, and he's actually very well versed in this topic. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Brian Graves.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Really, I want to take some time today to talk about ScanOnline's philosophy of managed services and how we go to market with our managed services group, and we're really looking at that management support services piece. Go ahead and move to the next slide, if you would, please, Jeff. Thank you. When we look at managed services through our managed service group, we want to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace from other MSPs that are out there by not simply just being a monitoring group of networks and assets for other companies. We really want to truly, as Jeff has denoted, establish a partnership to manage both the WLAN network infrastructure and your mobile handheld infrastructure that you've got. These are expensive resources, and we want to have that partnership in being able to manage that with you and alongside you. What we're really simply trying to accomplish is really comes down to this: reducing system downtime and reducing the overutilization of your IT resources. And we do that by looking at the two subjects a little bit differently, both in mobile device management and in WLAN management. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here to look at both of these things separately and look at how we manage, first of all, mobile device management. So as Jeff has mentioned already, he alluded to our staging services, and that's really where we begin looking at the beginning to end of life cycle for mobile device management. That is looking at device staging. As these devices are coming into your organization, there are several things that need to be done to make sure that these devices get to where they need to be going, make sure that they're configured correctly, that they've got the golden images. We really want to take that task on and take that take that burden off of your own internal resources. So we're talking about things like change management, proactive lockdowns of the device profiles that are going to wind up in your end user's hands, not just on new devices, but devices that may already be deployed to field. Then we look at the next three topics, 2, 3, and 4, which are the MDM management, package development, and monitoring and prevention. I look at all of these together as being real-time asset management. This is what we accomplish on behalf of your end users and working with your help desk to get these mobile devices, know where they're at, know who has them, know the state that they're in the field. Are they active? Are they being used? What's the battery life look like? What's been its time in the field? We're really looking for a complete life cycle management, from the start of service of that device all the way to when that device needs to be retired and what the suggested replacement and disposition of that device should be. We want to help along in partnership with you determine which MDM is best for use within your organization. MDMs such as SODI or AirWatch. There are many out there. So help make that determination and then help manage that from a package development. If you look at point number 3 there, from a package development, you know, what firmware, what patch management, what customer software, what your software that's going on there, what does it need to, what's going to have to happen for that to be able to go onto your devices, for us to be able to assist and help in creating and managing those packages from an MDM server perspective. And then, of course, going on to looking at monitoring and prevention. And when we talk about monitoring and prevention from an MDM standpoint, simply we're trying to minimize operational downtime by having that device be available and ready to operate 24/7. There's a lot that goes into that. One of those things is being able to remotely access those devices. That comes back to the MDM. And being able to troubleshoot and see what is happening with that device when there is downtime. When we're working with your help desk, if you look at number 5 here, when we're working with your help desk, one of the tools that we are very proud of is how we ticket and log incidents. Nobody likes to have an incident with a device, whether it's an access point or whether it's a mobile device, but the reality is it happens from time to time. When that does happen, our response to that in terms of being able to finish out the reporting of what's going on with that device and provide a really thorough analysis and reporting device back on what has gone on with that, what was the resolution point, and to see that resolution all the way to the end. I think that is what differentiates ScanOnline and our managed service group from others. When we take on a device, whether it's an access point or whether it's a mobile handheld unit, when there is downtime, we want to be the solution for that device from the moment that there's a failure all the way through to resolution. And that really gets into number 6, which is tier 2, 3, and support. That end-to-end resolution that I was just speaking about, it's really important that we denote this. We want to be working with your help desk and true partnership, so that there's a mind share, there's a knowledge gathering that happens through that ticketing and reporting, through that resolution process, so that we understand what's happened in the past, so that we can eliminate downtime for the future. We want to work with your help desk to develop an engagement procedure so that we can escalate these problems properly. We're going to talk about a little bit more of that moving into the WLAN management side here. And really the philosophy around WLAN management is not much different than talking about the mobile device management, just different skill sets that it takes to get this job done. So again, from start to finish, we want to be able to walk your devices from the moment of deployment all the way through their lifecycle management to when those devices need to be replaced. Again, that's the philosophy that we're working on. So when we talk about configuring, it's such an important part of what we do in our WLAN managed supports part of our MSG group. You know, we're managing configurations not just on the access points, but on controllers and on your WIPS platform or the wireless intrusion platforms. Some examples of this would be like Air Defense by Zebra or FortiGate by Fortinet. There's a ton of them out there, but as we are working with your help desk, priority for us is to make sure that we can be able to manage, monitor, and troubleshoot the controllers, the access points, and the WIPS platforms that you've got. And once again, if you look at the next 3 sections here, which are managing, monitoring, and troubleshooting, again, I use the phrase, this is real-time WLAN management. We don't want to be a managed service provider that lets you know that there has been a problem if we can help prevent there to be a problem in the future. And we go about that, and I think in a unique fashion. One of the things that we'll be, one of the things that we would be doing in partnership is trying to be knowledgeable of all the current updates and to make the recommendations on firmware prior to the fact that this firmware is coming out. The latest and greatest, these are things that keep us protected from being able to have intrusions that otherwise would be there. being able to be knowledgeable on things like the vendor software management platforms that are available with the different differing types of WLAN that are out there, all of the network integration and the preventative maintenance, and really testing and deploying when these access points are first going to go into a new facility or into an existing facility as a new piece of equipment. We want to be the people that test and deploy this thing correctly. All of that testing is important to make sure that we know what that environment's how that environment's going to be supported and what this particular access point. It also helps in determining what the correct equipment is, and of course, looking at monitoring. We're trying to monitor to see for things like problems or alarms, and we just really want to minimize that operational downtime, and we want to do that 24/7. And of course, we've already talked about the wireless intrusion, but that wireless intrusion monitoring is important. What we do in the case of a wireless intrusion alarm, how we troubleshoot, how we diagnose what's going on, and how we report back to you as our partner what is happening, what our recommendations are, how we're looking for resolution to get this problem taken care of. And that does move us into the troubleshooting and diagnosing. Really, when we're looking at the applications and the security overlay, we're trying to detect events remotely, and we're trying to do that live time and real time, all the way back through the entire network as it relates all the way back to the controller. And once there's been an event detected, or that we know that there's a problem in place, determining what those actionable responses are, really a huge big piece of our goal. And the ultimate goal is really to proactively identify potential weaknesses and threats to the infrastructure before they actually become a problem, before they hurt production, before they cause downtime. And we need to be a good partner in doing that. How do we, again, better our partnership? I really think that comes down to the next piece, which is the reporting piece of this. If we can share knowledge and have knowledge transfer, the way that we ticket and log has everything to do with how well we can look at future or avoid future conflicts on the WLAN, just because of what we've already experienced in the past. So we put a lot of emphasis in detailed resolution descriptions. When there is a problem, how do we report that back to you? How do we make an analysis of that incident? How did it affect the availability and utilization of your access points across the enterprise? And how we report that really comes down to this goal. We want to eliminate future failures. So it's real important that we have a strong partnership with your help desk to document and provide the processes that had the resolution of that problem from start to finish. And then, of course, we're doing that through our tier 2 and tier 3 help support. And this is really an important point, because again, it comes down to that partnership with your help desk, making sure that we understand what has happened, that we're on the hook all the way to resolution when there is a problem. Our objective is really simply this: for us to work with your IT help desk from a tier 3 and tier 2 and tier 3 perspective, and to support your end users all the way to resolution, to relieve your current help desk resources, because we know that managing these networks can take time. It takes a lot of overhead. It takes a lot of overhead in terms of personnel. So part of that real-time asset management, whether we're talking about access points or we're talking about mobile units, is actually handling when there is a device failure, so that we can keep downtime to a minimum. And we look at that in two separate ways. We look at that from an RMA process to get those devices replaced, and we look at that from a spare pooling process to keep that process live time and real and moving quickly. And here to talk to you about that and how we handle that process is Amy Hertlocker.
Hey guys, so a part of what we offer that's near and dear to my heart is maintenance and repair management. So part of our managed services offering is maintenance and repair management. This service provides a simple, cost-effective way to manage your device repair needs and minimize the downtime to keep your critical business functions running smoothly. These services are RMA creation and tracking, as well as manufacturer contract tracking I know that has been a sticking point for a lot of our customers, is being able to maintain what units are under contract, what units have a warranty, how do you create an RMA, how do you track an RMA. And I think that's a vital part of what we do to provide that end-to-end solution. With the spare pool management, when a device fails in the field, our MSG group will overnight a device from your ScanOnline housed spare pool preloaded with your golden image for next day delivery. Then your damaged devices are shipped back to the respective manufacturer and repaired per their service agreement or replaced. Once they're repaired or replaced, they'll be returned to your ScanOnline housed spare pool. We talked a little bit about how do we show you the history of your devices, any repair tickets that were put in place, and how we utilize that system to better serve the clients. So our managed services group is able to provide all these services by utilizing our incident management system. Our help desk support system tracks each call with extensive detail to ensure a timely problem resolution. The system can be accessed by our customers to submit an incident or submit a request to the MSG team. All service history is recorded here to provide detailed reports on each call for training and management purposes. The final slide shows a deeper view into the incident management system, providing details on escalation, categories, current status, and descriptions of incidents. This dashboard can be customized to give you a bird's eye view into what issues are currently pending for your organization. And at this time, I'd like to turn the presentation back over to Jeff, who has a few closing statements.
What I wanted to present here, and basically as our last slide, is a couple of ROI takeaways from the presentation. Basically, as you can see, there are a lot of different reasons, and there's a lot of numerical reasons as well for going about looking for a managed services provider. The main idea here, though, is that you need to consider that business is absolutely powered by mobility and wireless today, and without it, you're obviously going to be at a significant disadvantage from your competition. And as you can see from these charts here, with IT spending rising, hiring becoming more difficult, and obviously some security breaches, continuing to rise, you're going to have a lot of challenges in trying to find ways to not only save, but be safe and still be competitive. What I hope that we accomplished with this webinar today is that we demonstrated that an MSP is valuable to lowering all of your operating costs, and over time we hope that we'll have a couple discussions in the future to maybe show how you can get the real true value of a managed services provider yourself.